So yes, they are our neighbors, but we have stood up to them. We're in a different situation with Donald Trump, a convicted predator.
But it seems that Canadians are shelving the nice guy stereotype as they push back on the president-elect. Donald Trump continues to poke fun at Canadians and of course has sworn to impose tariffs on the country. And from Justin Trudeau to Canadian members of Parliament, they're not taking too kindly to Trump insisting that Canada is just the 51st state.
Now, it shouldn't be that way. It wasn't supposed to be that way. We were supposed to be on a steady, if difficult sometimes, march towards progress. And yet, just a few weeks ago, the United States voted for a second time to not elect its first woman president. Everywhere, women's rights and women's progress is under attack, overtly and subtly. But I want you to know that I am, and always will be, a proud feminist. You will always have an ally in me and in my government.
So yes, they are our neighbors, but we have stood up to them. We're in a different situation with Donald Trump, a convicted predator, who's seriously undermining the democratic process in the United States, and he thinks he can just push us around. Exactly. He insults us. Yep. You know, the Conservatives seem to like it because he's insulting our Prime Minister, but he's not really insulting the Prime Minister. He's insulting Canadians, calling us the 51st state.
That's right, exactly.
You know, once there was a Canada that had a flag that didn't need to be waved. A flag that represented who we are. We didn't boast about it.
But the thing is, it's not just with their words that they are fighting back, right? Some Canadian officials are urging Ottawa to respond robustly to the threat of tariffs from the incoming US president and have highlighted critical minerals and metals as products the United States relies on, all of which Canada's finance minister said on Wednesday.
Let's make no mistake about it. As I mentioned to the Prime Minister, the rest of the premiers, we need to be ready. We need to be ready to fight. This fight is coming 100% on January the 20th or January 21st. We don't know what extent this fight's going to go to, but we need to line up everything that we're going to tariff.
And the Canadian Prime Minister and other government officials met recently to discuss what Donald Trump's proposed tariffs would mean for the Canadian economy. After Donald Trump's pledge that he would raise tariffs on the Canadian and Mexican imports, it raised fears of a trade war between the US and two of its biggest trading partners. And as a result, Ontario official Doug Ford threatened to halt energy exports to the United States in response to Donald Trump.
Did he give you any details of where those retaliatory tariffs would be aimed on American goods?
No, Chrystia Freeland's going to put a list together. We're going to put our list together, and I'm sure the other provinces will as well. But we will go to the full extent, depending how far this goes. We will go to the extent of cutting off their energy, going down to Michigan, going down to New York State, and over to Wisconsin. I don't want this to happen, but my number one job is to protect Ontario, Ontarians and Canadians as a whole, since we're the largest province.
You're changing your tune today, though. Why are tariffs now a tool that you're going to use, extreme ones as well? Why do you think they'll work this time?
Well, I think he's being a little more aggressive than he was in the past. And I say this respectfully to the president. He's a different type of cat, to say the least. Maybe I'm a different type of cat, but you know, I've never seen you know, not so much aggression, but so matter of fact. He didn't come across this way last time, and it's not helpful for both sides of the border. And you know, at the end of the day, the consumer gets hurt. Canadians get hurt, but I can assure you one thing, the Americans are going to feel the pain as well. And isn't that unfortunate that that's going to happen? As I've said before, 9 million Americans wake up every single morning to produce parts and products to ship up to Ontario, and that's just Ontario alone. And we're the number one export to 17 states and number 2 to 11 others, but we will be on the phone every single day.
Now, let's make this clear, right? I'm not here to engage in internal Canadian politics, but merely to highlight the turmoil that the soon-to-be president is causing with one of our greatest allies before he's even stepped foot in the White House.
I remember very distinctly when Donald Trump was first elected, you did you were the only one to actually welcome his election conditionally. In other words, based on the respect and the adherence to mutual values, democracy, freedom, diversity, rule of law, human rights, etc. And I just, wonder whether you thought he did act in that way. And especially because you said he was clearly fascinated by the Russian president. In the years that followed, I received the distinct impression that he was captivated by politicians with autocratic and dictatorial traits. How did that manifest itself to you?
Well, in the way that he spoke about Putin, the way that he spoke about the North Korean president, obviously, apart from critical remarks he made, there was always a kind of fascination at the sheer power of what these people could do. So my impression always was that he dreamt of actually overriding maybe all those parliamentary bodies that he felt were, in a way, an encumbrance upon him, and that he wanted to decide matters on his own. And in a democracy, well, you cannot reconcile that with democratic values.
Mr. President, Susan Lee from Fox Business. Did you reject a one-on-one meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau?
Yeah, I did.
Why?
Because his tariffs are too high and he doesn't seem to want to move. And I've told him, forget about it. And frankly, we're very unhappy with the negotiations and the negotiating style of Canada. We don't like their representative very much. And I love Canada, by the way.
Prime Minister Trudeau talking about you last night.
Well, he's two-faced. But, the truth is that I called him out, and I guess he's not very happy about it. We're being taken advantage of on trade. They put out a document. I don't know if you saw it. They didn't want me to see it, but we found it. Perhaps they were trying to show the power they have. It's close to $100 billion a year loss with Canada. We finished the meeting. Really, everybody was happy. I left and it was very friendly. When I got onto the plane, I think that Justin probably didn't know that Air Force One has about 20 televisions. And I see the television and he's giving a news conference about how he will not be pushed around by the United States. And I say, push him around. We just shook hands. It was very friendly. He's two-faced. He's giving a news conference about how he will not be pushed around by the United States. And I say, we just shook hands. That he had because he assumed I was in an airplane and I wasn't watching. He's two-faced. He learned that's going to cost a lot of money for the people of Canada. He learned. You can't do that. You can't do that.
And this is indicative of Donald Trump's proposed economic plan itself, because he's already backtracking on what he had promised along the campaign trail.
The president-elect is moving the goalposts on some of his pledges, like lowering the price of groceries. It's hard to bring things down once they're up, Trump says. It's very hard. And in addition to repeatedly saying he would bring prices down when he was out there on the campaign trail, listen to what he was saying just last week. Listen to this.
We're going to do things that a lot of people thought we're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get your prices down. I started using the word, the groceries. When you buy apples, when you buy bacon, when you buy eggs, they would double and triple the price over a short period of time. And I won an election based on that. We're going to bring those prices way down.
So why do you think Trump is now backing away from that pledge?
It's unclear. I mean, one of the things that's clear is he never really had a plan to actually bring down grocery prices, right? He thinks that tariffs are a magical solution to bringing down the cost of everything. They'll even pay for your daycare, apparently, if you have tariffs. Of course, tariffs are inflationary, so that wouldn't work. Even when he talks about expanding oil production in terms of lowering prices, there are record high of oil production currently. So that doesn't seem to work either.
Trump had consistently said that he would lower the price of goods, and then in a recent interview with Time magazine, simply said that it's hard to reduce the price of goods, completely contradicting his plan all along. And once again, this is exactly what Donald Trump did his first time around. He claimed that Mexico would pay for a wall to stop any immigration issues, which of course they didn't. He claimed that he would provide an Obamacare alternative, which of course he didn't. It's just 2017 all over again, except I've aged a decade, it seems, in that time.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.